Welcome back for Season 3 of All Things Excellence, where women in leadership and business come to be challenged to learn and to grow. I'm your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, clarity coach, Enneagram guide, community builder, and your go-to girl for becoming the most excellent version of yourself. Here on All Things Excellence, we are obsessed with shining light on women who are doing the deep work and playing full out in the arena. We bring you their brilliance, their stories, and the magic they bring into the world. This season, I'm determined to step into the most powerful, profitable, peaceful, and aligned version of myself yet. So buckle up, because I'm bringing you with me. When one woman rises, we all get permission to rise as well. If you're ready to grow, rise, and step into your next level with effortless ease and love being surrounded by women who are doing the same, you're in the right place. Welcome to All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam, and welcome back to Season 3. I'm kind of in awe. I don't know. I can't believe we're here. I've been on break now for a few weeks, and this is what I can tell y'all. I think anybody that's listening to this episode live, I know that you're sitting here with me. I've heard this from clients. I've heard this from our book club. We are all in this place of a little bit feeling like the moment the clock struck January 1st, we have been in an all-out dead sprint, a little bit of survival, and we're all ready for one giant silent retreat. We're all ready for a break. I have women coming in next week for a special book club event and staying to have a retreat. And I have shifted the entire schedule to allow so much white space, because what I'm noticing is these women don't need to come and have me teach or train. These women need to come and have a space created for them to breathe, to think, and to just literally hear the thoughts that are happening in their own mind. And so what I want first is I want to give you that permission that if you're feeling like that, I want you to sit and look at your schedule and carve out a day, 2 days, 3 days that you can get away. I was talking to one of my dearest friends earlier today, and she said she was going on a silent retreat this weekend. My soul couldn't have been more jealous. I'm so excited for her, and I'm so jealous all in the same time. And I picked up my phone, and I looked at my calendar, and I thought, honestly, my last meeting ends Friday at 2 p.m. I really could send myself on my own silent retreat for the weekend. Yes, I've got a soccer banquet I've got to run Tuesday. Yes, I've got an entire day that I need to finish prepping for a retreat on Wednesday. Yes, I've got women flying in across the country and coming to a retreat event on Thursday to Sunday. But could I get away? Do I need to get away? And so look at your schedule. You guys, the lights are never going to be all green. It's never going to be easy, but we've got to take that time. We've got to feed back into ourselves. So that way we are functioning and operating from a rested soul. I've mentioned it before that one of my favorite books is Wild Goose Chase by Mark Batterson. And in there, it talks about the Sabbath and Selah being this time when our soul catches up with our body, that we're supposed to take that weekly day, that Sunday, that Saturday, whatever day you got to make it for yourself, honoring that Sabbath. It's so less about if you're a religious person or not, and so much more about the rhythm of allowing your soul to catch up with your body, allowing your body to rest, to create the white space. And I would say I just need to hear my own thoughts. I don't need any noise. I don't need TV. I need nothing. I don't need people. I just need time and space and my backyard to be able to hear those thoughts. And so I want to encourage you to carve that out, because I've been noticing as I've been meeting with people that women specifically, are craving that alone time. So what's been happening since we've been on this little break? Obviously, we published our 100th episode, and that came with a lot of feels. I talked about a lot of the feels on the 100th episode, and now I'm definitely behind the softer, more grieving, crying emotions, and really just looking forward and going, okay, it is what it is. Like, I can tell the goals that I was wildly invested in that I wanted, and the goals that I obviously didn't. And a little bit of that, if you weren't able to listen to that episode yet, basically when I crossed that 100th episode, I had more sad feels than I had excited feels. And the sad feels were because I realized that I dedicated a lot of time, talent, energy, and income into producing 100 episodes. I hired a full-time human, and between this full-time human and I, 10 hours goes into every single episode, from writing it, setting it up, finding guests, producing it, all the editing, everything that goes into getting that episode out. And so if you look at that, there was 1,000 hours that were put into publishing those 100 episodes, and we're going to ignore how much money was put into it. But what it showed me was, no matter how hard it is, no matter the obstacles, no matter how many of my resources it takes, if I want something, I always get every single thing that I want. And maybe I don't get it on the first try, but I will not quit until I get it done. But what that also showed me, that there were a lot of goals that I've had over specifically the last 10 years that I've kept pushing out and trying to reset because I keep not hitting them. And it made me realize that I obviously don't really care about those goals, that they aren't in alignment with my life, and that it's time to move on from those goals and to release them. I've also been working with a new coach and the past couple of months. But in this last month, while I've been on break, we analyzed every single one of my offers. Hold your beer, kids, because that was tough, honestly. Because what we were analyzing my offers for, we weren't looking for what is bad and what is good. We were trying to separate what is good and what is great. And looking at these offers and making sure, are they driving everything? Like, do all roads lead back to the most important work that I do? And that is being in that leadership container with women. When they enroll in that one-on-one leadership container where it's you and I navigating life and business together every single month, where you get 1 or 2 sessions a month, are all roads leading back to there? And are the things that we're doing, are they setting it up? For example, I'm just going to be super honest with y'all. My Enneagram typing session had been 30 minutes. And it really only takes me 30 minutes to type somebody. Honestly, sometimes it takes me like 7 minutes to type them. And then I kind of listen to them the rest of the time and I help them really uncover if they're an Enneagram type. But what my coach challenged me with was, if all roads are supposed to lead to the leadership container, where you're in this deep, intimate relationship with women in their life and in their business, so they don't feel like they're doing life and business alone, but you're there doing it with them, how is a hot and fast 30-minute Enneagram typing session leading to that? I mean, yes, they're getting to know you, but are they really getting to know you? Are you really getting to have that good, juicy conversation with them? And so that's an example where we took that and we extremely elevated what that looks like. I developed a video that you get to watch outside of it that gives you content, a workbook that goes along with it that's ever evolving, and 60 minutes where we're getting to the juicy details of your life. I don't just want you to know your Enneagram type. I want you to know why you react the way that you do, why you're getting in certain fights with your husband, why your brothers are annoying you, why you get upset at work, why you feel great at work, why you're celebrating at work, why do you love these parts of your work, but these parts of your work drain you, why maybe you're energized by a savings account, or maybe you don't even care if you have a savings account. I want you to know all those things. I want you to be able to identify when you're getting too close to the side of the road and see how your Enneagram is affecting that, that's causing you to be maybe a little short and snippy with your kids. Your Enneagram tells you all of those things. It tells you not just what are you doing, it's telling you why are you doing it? What is the motivation behind that behavior? But it also helps you look at on the horizon. Like, I can look at on the horizon. Today, my aunt and uncle asked me, like, hey, do you want to go to lunch after the retreat? And I, in all of my wing 7-ness, I'm like, yes, absolutely. I love y'all. Yeah, of course I do. My Enneagram 2, where I go in safety and security as an Enneagram 8, was like, oh my gosh, family's most important. Of course, I want to spend more time with family. And then my 8 went, yep, we can do it. We can just get it done. But then my 5, who I call the resource manager. Also, since I've been on break, y'all, I was in some extended training with Jeff McCord in a tiny mastermind. There was 5 of us. Him and his wife are the people that I got my certification through. They've written multiple books, and I got to be in a tiny mastermind for a month with him. Incredible. And he talked about how you can work IFS, the internal family systems, into your Enneagram language, which completely made sense to me. Because my Enneagram 5, I go there, I take on those character traits when I'm stressed, and I call that my resource manager. And my resource manager said, whoa, girl, we got a really full week this week. You're going to be putting together retreat stuff all weekend. You are hosting. You are organizing, putting on, shopping for, and hosting the banquet for the entire high school, 60 players, and all their family members on Tuesday. Then your coach is flying in, you're getting a retreat house and your coach is flying in and people are coming over and people are flying in from all over town and you're hosting them for days. Are we going to have energy left? Or are we going to be ready to stare at a wall? Like, are you even going to be able to carry on a conversation with somebody, let alone go to lunch? And then I said, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. The deepest desire of my heart is yes. But my resource manager says, I don't know about that. But also, y'all, that's what I love about the Enneagram, because I can go, okay, it's a possibility that I will be so tapped out I might need to have my husband drive me home. Not really. I'm not really going to be that empty. But it does allow me to look at that. And I love giving verbiage to those different parts of my body, my mind that I know. I always see it like, if you've never seen Inside Out, you need to see Inside Out 1 and 2, created by Pixar. And that's how I see the different pieces of my Enneagram, because we're not just our core type. We have attributes from our wings. We have where we go in stress. We have where we go in security. And I love diving in deep in an Enneagram typing session with somebody, because I don't want them to just know their Enneagram type. I want them to understand how it's playing out in their life right now. So we took that offer and we expanded it. Now, if you understand the fact that my leadership container is this place where we're doing life together in leadership and business, and I'm helping you navigate that, and then you think the first place that you meet me might be this Enneagram typing session, does that not, I mean, it is like the juiciest session ever, that when you leave that, you're going to go, all I want is a whole heck of a lot more of this conversation. So all roads then semi-effortlessly are going to lead into this leadership container. But if all I'm doing is this hot and fast 30 minutes, let me tell you some facts about the Enneagram. Let's figure out what type you might be. It's so transactional as opposed to being highly transformational. And that's what my coach and I've been looking at, is what I'm doing, how I'm spending all of my day, highly transformational. Now, the second episode of season 3, y'all are going to listen to a conversation between my friend Robin and I. I'm going to talk about my Misogi. I'm going to talk about my biggest goal for the year. I'm going to talk about why I am insanely passionate about having my most peaceful, profitable, powerful, and aligned year yet, and how I'm bringing all y'all along with me for the ride this year on that. Another thing that I've done since I've been on the break, I did with the sales girls. Love the sales girls. Love Macy McNeely, one of my favorite people to watch. I watch her most mornings on YouTube. And it was their Sell Your Offer challenge. And basically it was 6 days of content that was like pretty much my time, like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day, because I got the Platinum VIP. I'm like, if we're doing it, let's go all the way. Where there was live interactive coaching. It was phenomenal. I got to be coached by Macy myself. They have another challenge starting up in April. We'll put the link below. Hands down, you got to do it. And there was a billion things I took away from this, honestly, but there were 2 core things. And one was, what does my client need to believe to purchase my offer? I don't care what your job is. What does my client need to believe to purchase my offer? And I've even translated that to my husband. What do your players need to believe to buy into the dream of being state champions? So regardless of your job, you can ask yourself that. What does my client need to believe to purchase my offer? Even if your offer is a literal offer, like you sell something, or it's more of an elusive thing like my husband, where it's the concept of a state champion. Let's see. The next thing I've been doing a lot of incredible work. And I'm going to tell y'all, my client work has really been evolving as I've been working with this coach. We've talked about this, where she identified a very damaging narcissistic relationship that I was very deeply in for 15 years and have been out of now for the last couple of years. But identifying that and healing that has been life-changing. She always asked me, where am I feeling in my body? And I would say, I feel like I could scream at the top of my lungs, but not like a bad scream, like a good scream, where your voice and your throat has just been unleashed. And I think by us doing that work, it has allowed me to really step into the best pieces of myself with my client work. And I've been doing a lot of math. Y'all don't know this about me, but I am the math strategy queen. I see numbers in my head and I can break them down faster than you can even find them. And I have had so many clients coming to me lately where we're getting to work on numbers of their business, or numbers in their life. Think budgets and offers and expenses. And I have been having a really, really fun time with it. And then the other thing that has taken up the majority of my time on this break has been soccer. My husband is the soccer coach. He runs the 7 through 12 boys program at a public school here in Arizona. And he also personally then coaches the varsity team and the 8th grade team. Here in Arizona, kids can go anywhere. And so it's really important to coach your 8th grade team because that you can recruit in 7th and 8th grade, but after that, there's a lot of rules around not being able to have these one-on-one recruiting situations. And so in order to have good retention of the best players from the 8th grade team moving into the varsity program, he's coaching the 8th grade to make sure that he's getting his hands like boots on the ground with these kids, seeing their potential, working with their potential, and then just knowing who he wants to work with in the off season, especially in our camps. And so it takes a lot. I am his booster president and my treasurer who manages all the money. I just say, this is what I want to buy. This is how much it costs. And she says, this is how much more money you need to go find. And that is what I do. I rally sponsors and businesses and parents, just saying, if you ever want to donate, reach out, we'll take you. You can get a 3x5 banner that hangs at the stadium all year long. Don't really care where your business is. I would love to have you. But that's been a big part of my life. We also do, as a coach's wife, I do weekly team dinners at my house with the team, and I cook them pasta or burgers or whatever they're wanting for the week. And the biggest reason behind that is really growing team camaraderie. When I was wildly successful in direct sales, I had my team over to my house all the time, and they knew, like, mi casa su casa. The door is always open. I'm always here for you. Anytime you want to come and have a conversation. I had team dinners a lot, and that's because I just knew that a unified team that can beat another team being more talented than us any day, right? That a unified team, when they put their heads together, they are capable of absolutely anything. Now, one thing that happened with this season that was really rough was the last couple of games didn't go exactly the way they should. It was some of those games where you're watching it going, we are quite literally 10 times better than the team we are playing, but for some reason they're kicking our butts. And it's really interesting. I told my husband, I'm like, the challenge is that we gave 200% of our guts to this team, but he's a new leader on this team for the last 18 months. And there's a lot of old kids that are still left from the previous do whatever you want, I don't really care, coach that barely showed up kind of leadership. And so what I've found is you never really get to fully reprogram people that were under bad leadership. The only thing that you can do is essentially go into the desert and wait the 40 years for the doubters to die. Now, what I'm referring to that is in the book, I think it's in the book Visioneering. I think so. I think it's in the book Visioneering by Andy Stanley. He talks about when Moses led the Israelites into the desert and they were there for 40 years. And then obviously Joshua led them into the promised land. If you're not familiar with the Bible, you get enough of the story to get it. But the Israelites were in the desert for 40 years. And a lot of times we might think like, oh my gosh, like why didn't they literally just walk into the promised land? Like there it was. But one of the books that I read recently talked about how there was a certain timing to the fact that the generation of doubters, the generation of people that really couldn't conceptualize that great of a life for themselves, that generation quite literally had to die off. So the new generation that didn't have that previous toxic mindset where they were slaves in Egypt, where they could allow themselves to go into this promised land and receive that for them. So that generation of doubters, slave mentality, literally had to pass on so that way this new generation could allow themselves to go into the promised land. And I've said to my husband, there's only so much growth that you can do to a team that was under really bad leadership for 2 years, especially as young kids, because they're so malleable, right? And so you're going to have to start with these younger players, and we're going to have to keep giving our guts. We're going to have to keep giving 200%, while a lot of these kids are only giving 90%. And the hard thing with soccer is you literally watch it happen. So in business or in life, we see that very abstractly. We can so much more easily come up with excuses, right? Where I can come up with a million excuses why I didn't hit my numbers last month. I had all this stuff going on. I tried to line up these meetings. They just didn't happen. I couldn't get to as many gatherings, so I couldn't make as many presentations, so I couldn't get as many new clients. When on the soccer field, you literally watch these two kids sprint down the field. One makes it to the ball and the other doesn't. Now, sometimes are you limited to capacity because the other kid is literally bigger, faster, stronger? I mean, sure, sometimes somebody is going to literally out-talent you, but more often than not, that's not the case. More often than not, I can literally watch in their body the moment they give up and they let the other kid win the ball. And I said to my husband, I know it's sad for us because we gave 200%. We wanted it more than they believed that they could have it. But I watched those kids run 90% of the way down that field so many times, where they were 90% of the way there and they were battling for that ball. They always say, go to war. They're going to war for the ball. And then I would watch them bend over and bow down and give up and let the other team take it. And all they had to do was go 10% more, probably 11%, right? They got to meet the other kid at 100 and then go 1% further. And I think that life is like that. And while I haven't been in my actual job working as much, in my businesses doing as much, obviously I got to have a break on the podcast. I learn in life by doing. I've always been that way. I'm such a trial and error learner. And it's been incredible to cross that finish line of 100 podcast episodes, have all that grief and sadness, and then also be able to watch this soccer season and ask myself, where do I need to keep going further? So one thing to know that I've said to my husband is the challenging thing that he's facing right now, that I also faced in direct sales, was when you want to move up in leadership, you make that decision and then the team follows. You don't wake up one day and say, hey, you current team right here before me, let's go. Let's rise up to this highest level that we've never been. That doesn't happen. The leader moves to the highest level. They start acting like them. They have the habits of them. They're waking up. They're doing leaders are readers. They're treating their body like the leader of that caliber does. You make the decision to be that top 0.1% leader. You start aligning yourself with that. And then the correct team starts following you. So y'all are going to listen to this Misogi of the year. And my Misogi of the year, it's this big goal. It explains it in the next episode. And but basically it's this giant goal. And so I've said my Misogi for the year is to create space in our life that if God really wants to bring us kids, we're 41. Like, this is it, y'all. We are at the end of the line. If God wants to bring us kids, like, I am preparing the space for that. I'm getting my body in the best physical shape. I'm getting our friends and our network in the best shape. Like, just, making sure I don't feel like I'm alone. I'm doing coaching with the best coach. I'm doing therapy with the right therapist for me. I'm making sure that my schedule reflects exactly what I would want it to reflect. I'm making sure that I have all the help, right? Like, I'm working on getting a house manager. I'm looking at all of my assistants and just everything that I'm outsourcing and delegating, right? I'm lining my life up for that. I'm waking up every day as if those kids are already in our house. And maybe they'll come and maybe they won't. And I know all of y'all that have kids, you're laughing hysterically because you're like, oh my gosh, she has no clue. You don't get to plan it like that. Oh, okay. Well, just so you know, I was basically a live-in nanny for 1,000,000 years. Like, I understand that. But there is a certain thing where when you and your husband have created this life that you don't even, like, y'all, we don't have space in our life for a puppy. Like, we look at getting a puppy and we're like, we don't have space for a puppy. And I think I know a lot of people say this to me all the time. You just figure it out. That's cool. We're not really just figure it out kind of people, because I think there's a lot of variables that you have to just figure out with life every day. Everyday life is throwing curveballs at you, but there's a lot of stuff that you can pre-figure out. Like, if I can figure out how to create the habits where I'm in my office every day, Monday through Thursday from 9 to 3, doing highly intentional work. I'm so focused on getting that work done. And then a child comes into that. That means all the margin all around that is about the child. You guys see where I'm going with this? So on the team thing, I said to him, when I made the decision to be that top 0.1% leader, I actually lost a lot of my team. And that was because I had definitely created a space that was the Kumbaya Club. And I see a lot of leaders do that. They create this Kumbaya Club, and that's because the desire of their heart is they want to grow this big, awesome thing, but they also have this underlying fear that people are going to leave them and that they're going to lose them. And so a little bit of scarcity causes us to create the Kumbaya Club. We can have the Kumbaya Club in a lot of ways, right? Where even as a coach, I could have a Kumbaya Club where I'm like, these clients don't even want to grow or change. They just want to show up every month like I'm their therapist and chat. This is not fun. They're having fun, but I'm not having fun. Like if they're not growing and changing, if we're not having challenging conversations, this is defeating the point, right? And so I could elevate what I want to bring to these sessions, and that would cause me to lose clients. Could be elevating what he expects out of his team. He is absolutely going to lose kids. They're going to not go out for the team. They're going to transfer to a school where they can be a Kumbaya Club. I was talking with one of my clients earlier today about the book club and saying, I have a slight concern right now that there's a little bit too much Kumbaya friend club and not enough elevated, excellent leader conversation. And so I reached out to one of my ride or die in my corner friends and talked with her. Like, I need you to answer these from your gut as this super powerful corporate woman that you are about the book club and what would make you join it and what would make you quit and what you would want from it. And I went to the person that is my most ideal client and said, what would make you join? What would make you quit? Because that's what I want to know. What do you want to get out of it? And what would you not want to get out of it? What would you see as a waste? If I added these features, which would you say heck yes to? And which would you not even care that if they existed? Right? Going to that ideal client. So when I made that decision in direct sales too, that I wanted to do that, because I lost people, I had to go out and find new leaders that were willing to come up against hard and to face it head on, that were willing to see the challenges and to be ignited by the challenges, not see them as an easy excuse and a way out. I mean, with my husband, we're even seeing this in the weight room. I'm like, you need to go find guys that want to win so bad that they are willing to kill it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the weight room. Not guys that go, oh, coach, I'm going to work out after school. You should be so excited that you get to do a PE class with your soccer team and you get to work out twice a day, right? Those are the women that I was looking for in my organization. The ones that when they came up against the hard, it almost excited them. It ignited them. It invigorated them. And so one other thing that you have to be looking for with that is you have to not be afraid to fail or look stupid, right? When you make the decision that you want to elevate your team, that you want to elevate yourself, you have to not be afraid to fail or look stupid and make mistakes. I was having a conversation with a soccer mom actually earlier this morning. She's a good friend of mine and her son is on the team. And she said, he's in 7th grade and he's having a hard time because he's making a lot of mistakes and he doesn't usually make this many mistakes. And I said, well, the reality of the situation is when it comes down to it, this is what I do know. I know the level of club team that he's used to, and I know the level of players that he's playing with. And in his school team, he is playing with more elite players than he has ever played with. So he has elevated his proximity, right? The people that he's around, he has elevated who he's in the room with. He is no longer the big fish in the tiny pond, but he is the tiny fish in the lake. And this is great for him. He's going to make more mistakes. We're all watching the Olympics right now. Maybe you're not. I am. I'm obsessed with figure skating. Tell me you're an American girl that you didn't grow up twirling around your kitchen pretending to be a figure skater every 4 years. Figure skating was something that my mom and I actually always watched every single year. We'd watch, there's more than the Olympics that you can watch figure skating. And that's what we would watch on the weekends together. And the American men's figure skater, he's 21 years old, freaking phenomenal, gives total like Scotty Hamilton vibes, and I love it. What he did the other night, he did a harder routine than anyone else. The things that he brought into his routine, most people can't do. Y'all, he's like the Simone Biles of figure skating, essentially, with men's figure skating of what's going on right now. And in his routine, he did make a mistake and he fell. And even at the end, after everyone went, this other guy, I think it was like the Japanese guy, he had a flawless routine and still was, y'all, I'm going to get this wrong, so nobody come for me on this, but I swear it was like 10 points or something behind him. Because even though he made a mistake, he went bigger and harder and bet more and did wilder, crazier, more challenging things and was rewarded. And so I think it's that. It's finding in yourself, finding in your team, people that aren't afraid to fail and to look stupid to be able to reach the next level. So these are the 3 questions that I'm asking myself this week from all of this stuff that's been coming up. 1, where am I playing it safe and do I need to take more risks? Where am I playing it safe and where do I need to take more risks? Number 2, where am I only giving 90% effort? Where am I only giving 90% effort? And the 3rd question, do I even want to be a champion in that arena? Or is my lack of effort a sign that maybe my priorities have shifted? Do I even want to be a champion in that arena that I'm giving my 90% effort or less? Or is my lack of effort the sign that my priorities have simply shifted? I was having a conversation earlier today with a friend about this, about, sometimes when our priorities in life shift, seasons shift, careers start shifting, it's easy to look at where we've been and start finding all the bad. Right? We want to find all the bad in something and somebody because we want to validate this thing ending. And that's because we don't want to move toward those difficult emotions of grieving that thing, that season, that person. And so I encouraged her to hold the good and the bad and to realize that something can be ridiculously the wrong choice for you right now, like so ridiculously bad for you. It is so obvious that this is no longer your season. You need to leave this thing, this person behind. But you can also stand there and hold the good. Not only was there a lot of good that came from it for you for a long time, but also that it is still good and great for somebody else. That just because it's no longer a part of your path doesn't mean that it isn't the best option right now for somebody else's, right? And I think that when we start looking at where we are not being a champion, where we are not putting all of our resources into, we're not going all the way, we're not giving 200% of our guts to it, I think that that's the most obvious thing, that seasons are shifting. And I can say to myself, for years, I just thought that something was wrong with me, that I needed to grow more, heal more, shift more, change more, try something different, work harder, work more. And the reality was the season had just ended and I just wasn't as insanely passionate about it in that way. And I needed to allow myself to shift priorities and shift season. And I think that when we can pull back and we can take out a piece of paper and write, why is this no longer the right, thing for me anymore, person anymore? But why was it great and wonderful and good? And why are they, or this thing, why are they still great and wonderful and good for other people? And then I think we can pull back and we can look at that and we can do so much more easily move through our grief and allow ourselves to move on into a new season. Oh my gosh, y'all, I read a quote this morning and I wrote it down. Let me see. I wonder if I can find it. I wrote it in my book club notes. I shared this on book club and I am absolutely, I'm going to write it everywhere. Let's see if I can pull it up super quick. Nope. I thought I saved it in my Instagram and I didn't. But it basically talked about how, we need to allow things to end and seasons to shift because we need to acknowledge that the thing that we're supposed to move on towards, it is worth it. And that we have to love it. And that change is good. So that way It's having faith that the thing that's ahead of us is worth more than staying in the thing that is behind us. So thank y'all for coming back to season 3. Here we are. Y'all, season 3 is going to be, we know we're only dropping episodes on Wednesday. It's all about shorter, more potent episodes. It's about getting in really deep nitty gritty with our guests, featuring women founders who are in the thick of it, doing the thing, building the businesses, doing life the way that we want to be doing life with, living that life of excellence, and all about me being on a mission for my most peaceful, profitable, powerful, and aligned year yet, and taking you with me on that journey. As always, y'all, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back to season 3. Can't wait to get to know you more. If anything hit you today from this, I want to hear about it. Run to Instagram and drop a DM so I can hear what this episode meant to you. Thanks for listening, and we will absolutely talk to y'all next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.